I was in 5th grade, new to the area and new to the school, trying to make new friends and trying to look confident. But no one really knew how unbelievably fragile I was. I might have looked fearless and bold, but I was neither of the two. Under the surface, I was as vulnerable as a crispy autumn leaf. The young hoodlum. Only now can I call him that. At that time, I couldn't even say his name. He was a grade older than me, and he was very intimidating. He was taller than most and literally looked down on smaller, younger students. He usually wore red skinny jeans and sweatshirts that were too big for him. To me, he was the king of the bus, and his friends were his minions. On the bus, he had absolute, unlimited power. Or so it seemed. The bus was no longer enjoyed as just a casual ride home. It was just plain treacherous. Every day, I'd put up with his mocking. He didn't like the way I dressed, the way I talked or laughed. Why did he hate me so much? Was it my facade of courage that he couldn't stand? His only weapon were words. Insults are an understatement of what his words really were. They weren't just like insults like ugly, stupid, slut, or the classic 4 eyes. They were more like a rush of flaming red arrows. Hate speech piercing every inch of me. He used his weapon with astonishing accuracy, just pinpointing every one of my weaknesses, demolishing my certainty of who I was, crushing my spirit. The cheerful smile that once brightened my face was diminished. My defense? One of them was to laugh at the bully, but inside, I was crawling in a ball and waiting until the hurt was over, but it was never over. I'd think to myself, I'll stick up for myself tomorrow. I'll tell him his socks are too tight. I'll tell him that he needs to grow up. His words had no cure, and I couldn't hide from him. His words were poisonous venom, killing me from the inside out, leaving no physical cuts or bruises. In the beginning of school, I sat in the front of the bus, but quickly began sitting by my brother in the back for some security. The bully soon followed my lead. On one particular awful day, he came on the bus with 2 of his friends. He came with them as the obvious leader. That was when he noticed me. It was as if a thought clicked in his brain and he switched from laid-back, cool kid to hunter versus prey. He took each step intently toward the back of the bus to his target, me. There was a crowd around us now, as if they were all in on some joke that was about to be said. I ignored him, but he always had more to say. He said I was the worst person in the world, that I was worse than Hitler ever was. He thought that was particularly clever and gave me the nickname Hitler. He used similes and poetry to break every piece of me apart. The worst part wasn't the crowd that were in an uproar of laughter, or the bully himself. No, it was my brother who made me cry. He was laughing harder than anyone else was, pointing his finger at me, trying to catch his breath. Yes, the bully's words were brutal, but they alone couldn't break me. It was the betrayal of my own brother that did the job. When I got off the bus, I was still crying. I asked my brother, "Why didn't you stick up for me? Why did you laugh with them?" He had the ignorance to respond with, "It was funny. Did that really hurt your feelings? It's not a big deal. Get over it."